Good evening. This is the Anchorage Community Theatre of the Air. I am your host, Emily Klopfer. Tonight's radio drama was performed before a live studio audience on September 15th at 49th State Brewing Company. This play is based on the 1897 science fiction novel by H.G. Wells and has been adapted by Matt Fernandez. And now, ACT brings you H.G. Wells, The Invisible Man.
Fire. In the name of human charity, a room with a fire.
Oh, a guest this time of year in Iping. Oh, well, how do you do in out of that cold? You could find a worse parlour.
Your name?
I'm the missus of this establishment. My husband is Mr. Hall, at your service.
Is there a room you can put me up in, madam?
Oh, for certain. But would you be staying long?
Long enough.
Can I take your coat and hat, sir, and give them a good dry in the kitchen?
No. I prefer to keep them on.
Oh, very well, sir. If you like. In a bit, the room will be warmer. Oh, dripping melted snow all over the bloomin' floor. Oh, my, Millie, you never seen a stranger gent than he, all wrapped in bandages he is.
Does he have a cast?
No, I mean in his entire face, except for the nose.
His eyes wrapped too. How does he get around?
Shh. No, not wrapped, but, well, he wears these thick, dark spectacles. They cover on all sides. Wouldn't let me take that hat and coat of his. Oh, you wouldn't believe, it's dripping wet. You get you a peek at the fellow, but don't be letting on to your peeping. Your lunch is served, sir.
Thank you.
Millie, where are you with that mustard, you slow girl? I suppose I may have them to dry now.
Leave the hat. Leave the hat.
I didn't know, sir.
Thank you.
Well, I never. Oh, there you are, Millie. What are you messing about with now? Well, did you?
I peeked from afar. He's a funny-looking fellow. I mean, with that pink nose of his poking out, kind of funny.
Oh, the poor soul's had an accident or an operation or something. Oh, what a turn them bandages did give me, to be sure. And they goggles. Why, he looked more like a diving helmet than a human man. And hanging that handkerchief over his mouth all the time, talking through it.
Perhaps his mouth was hurt too, maybe.
Oh, bless my soul alive. Ain't you done with those taters yet, Millie?
Mrs. Hall?
Yes, Mr. Sir?
I have some luggage at Bramblehurst Station. How can I have it sent?
Oh, we can have it sent over tomorrow, sir.
Tomorrow? Is there no speedier delivery?
No.
Are you quite sure?
It's a steep road by the down, sir. It was there a carriage was upsettled a year ago and more. A gentleman killed beside his coachman. Accidents, sir, happen in a moment, don't they?
They do.
But they take long enough to get well, sir, don't they? There was my sister's son, Tom, just going down the road.
Will you get me my matches? My pipe is out.
At 4 o'clock, when it was fairly dark and Mrs. Hall was screwing up the carriage to go in and ask her visitor if he would take tea, Teddy Henfrey, the clock jobber, came into the bar.
My sakes, Mrs. Hall. This is terrible weather for thin boots.
Aye, 'tis. Well, now that you're here, Mr. Teddy, I'd be glad if you'd give the old clock in the upper room a bit of look. 'Tis going and it strikes, but the hour hand won't do nothing but point at 6. Well, come with me. Would you mind, sir, this man a-coming to look at the clock, sir?
Look at the clock? Certainly. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. I hope that it's no intrusion.
None whatsoever. Though I understand, Mrs. Hall, that this room is really to be mine for my own private use.
Oh, I thought, sir, you'd be preferring the clock to it.
Certainly. But as a rule, I like to be alone and undisturbed. But really, I'm glad to have the clock sing to. Very glad. And presently, when the clock mending is over, I think I should like to have some tea. But not until the clock mending is over. Have you made any arrangements about my boxes at Bramblehurst?
I done mentioned it to the postman, sir. He said the carrier would bring them on the morrow.
Are you certain that is the earliest?
I am certain.
I should explain what I was really too cold and fatigued to do before, that I am an experimental investigator.
Oh, indeed, sir.
And my baggage contains apparatus and appliances.
Oh, very useful things indeed they are, sir.
And I'm naturally anxious to get on with my inquiries.
Of course, sir.
My reason for coming to Iping was a desire for solitude. I do not wish to be disturbed in my work. In addition to my work, an accident
Oh, I thought as much.
necessitates a certain retirement. My eyes are sometimes so weak and painful that I have to shut myself up in dark for hours together. Sometimes, now and then, not at present certainly. At such times, the slightest disturbance, the entry of a stranger into the room, necessitates a certain retirement. My eyes are sometimes so weak and painful that I have to shut myself up in the dark for hours together. Sometimes, now and then, not at present certainly. At such times, the slightest disturbance, the entry of a stranger into the room, is a source of excruciating annoyance to me. It is well these things should be understood.
Certainly, sir. And if I might make as bold as to ask...
That, I think, is all.
The weather.
Why don't you finish and go? All you've got to do is fix the hour hand on the axle. You're simply humbugging and staring at me.
Can't a man look at you?
Finish up!
There.
And so it was on the 9th day of February, at the beginning of the thaw, this singular person fell out of infinity into Iping village. Next day, his luggage arrived through the slush.
Come along with those boxes. I've been waiting long enough.
You. Come here, you better.
Oh, you was bit. Oh, you'd better go see to him.
Oh, what is it?
The carrier's dog that bit him.
You have no business allowing your dogs to bite my guests. What is it with you, then? You look like you'd seen a ghost.
Oh, he don't want no help, he says. Oh, he better go take his luggage in.
Oh, he ought to have it cauterized at once, especially if it's all inflamed.
Come along. The sooner you get those things in, the better I'll be pleased.
Was you hurt, sir?
Not a bit. Never broke the skin. Hurry up with those things. Damn it. I wish you wouldn't come in without knocking.
Oh, well, I knocked, but seemingly...
Perhaps you did, but in my investigations, my really very urgent and necessary investigations, the slightest disturbance, the jar of a door, I must ask
Oh,
that you-
certainly, sir. You can turn the lock if you'd like that, you know. Any time.
A very good idea.
This straw, sir, from your crates. If I might make as bold as to remark that you...
Don't. If the straw makes trouble, put it down on the bill. The devil take it.
In which case, I should like to know, sir, what you consider...
A shilling. Put down a shilling. Surely a shilling's enough.
So be it. If you're satisfied, of course.
All the afternoon he worked with the door locked, as Mrs. Hall testifies, for the most part in silence. But once...
I can't go on. I can't go on. 300,000, 400,000, the huge multitude cheated. All my life it may take me. Patience, patience indeed. Fool and liar.
Sir, your tea?
Put it down in the bill. For God's sake, don't worry me. If there's damage done, put it down in the bill.
I tell you something, Iping.
Well,
This chap you're speaking of, what my dog bit, well, he's black. Leastways his legs are. I seen through the tear of his trousers and the tear of his glove. You'd expect a sort of pinky to show, wouldn't you? Well, there was none. Just blackness. I tell you, he's as black as my hat.
my sakes. It's a rummy case altogether. Why, his nose is as pink as paint.
That's true. I knows that. And I tell you what I'm thinking. That man's a piebald. You know, black hair, white hair in patches. I've seen it in horses, never in a man. And he's ashamed of it. All covered up.
Am I mad? Am I mad?
What's this?
Give me something to drink.
You're as white as the snow, Professor.
I was at Carriage and Horses, visiting the stranger that stay there. I went in and began to demand a subscription for that nurse's fund. I told him I heard he took an interest in scientific things. He said yes, sniffed again, kept on sniffing all the time. Evidently, you recently caught an infernal cold. No wonder we're wrapped up like that. Bottles, chemicals everywhere, balance, test tubes and stands, and a smell of evening primrose. Asked him point blank, was he researching a long research? Got quite cross. A damnable long research, he said. Blowing the cork out, so to speak. Oh, said I. And out came the grievances. Man was just in a boil. My question boiled him over. He had been given his prescription. A most valuable prescription. What for, he wouldn't say. Was it medical? Damn you! What are you fishing after? I apologized, dignified sniff and cough. He resumed, so, just at that point to illustrate his story, out came his arm.
Well, really?
No hand, just an empty sleeve. Lord, I thought, that's a deformity. Got a cork arm, I suppose, and I was taking it off. Then I thought, there's something off in that. What the devil keeps that sleeve up and open if there's nothing in it? There's nothing in it. There was nothing in it, I tell you. Nothing down it. Right down to the joint. I could see it right down to the elbow. And there was a glimmer of light shining through it, through tearing that cloth. Good God, I said. Then he stopped, stared at me at those black goggles of his, and then at his sleeve.
Well, you don't say.
That's all. He never said a word. Just glared and put his sleeve back in his pocket quickly. I was saying, said he, there was this prescription burning, wasn't I? Interrogative cough. How the devil, said I, can you move an empty sleeve like that?
Empty sleeve?
Yes, said I, an empty sleeve.
An empty sleeve, is it? You saw an empty sleeve?
He stood up right away. I stood up too. He came towards me in 3 very slow steps, quite close, sniffed venomously. I didn't flinch, though I'm hanged if that bandaged knob of his and those blinkers aren't enough to unnerve anyone come quietly up to you.
You said it was an empty sleeve?
Then he very quietly pulled his sleeve out of his pocket again and raised his arm towards me as though he would show it to me again. I was beginning to feel frightened. I could see right down it. He extended it straight toward me, slowly, just like that, until the cup was 6 inches from my face. Queer thing to see an empty sleeve coming at you like that. And then something exactly like a finger and thumb it felt beneath my nose. He laughed and I lit out of the room straight to here.
Oh, come off it.
There wasn't anything there! It's very well for you to laugh, but I tell you, I was so startled, it hit his cup. I hit his cup hard, and turned out and got out of the room. I left him. When I hit his cup, I tell you, it felt exactly like hitting an arm. And there wasn't an arm. There wasn't the ghost of an arm.
The fact of the burglary at the vicarage came to us chiefly through the medium of the vicar and his wife. It occurred in the small hours of Whit Monday, the day devoted in Iping to the club festivities. Mrs. Bunting, it seems, woke up suddenly in the stillness that comes before the dawn, with the strong impression that the door of their bedroom had opened and closed. She did not arouse her husband at first, but sat up in bed, listening.
Charles! Wake up, Charles!
What, huh?
Shh! There's someone here.
What?
Listen.
From his bedroom, the Reverend Bunting armed himself with the most obvious weapon, the poker, and descended the staircase.
Surrender!
There's no one here.
I could have sworn. The candle. Who lit the candle?
The drawer. And the money's gone.
The place was empty. They refastened the back door, examined the kitchen, pantry, and scullery thoroughly down, and at last went down into the cellar. There was not a soul to be found in the house, search as they would.
Damn it all to hell!
Been up there all night and into the morning hours. Ain't no one getting a wink of sleep last night with all that tossing about and cursing. I've a right mind to... What? Oh, that's spirits! I know that's spirits! I've read in the papers of them. Tables and chairs leaping and dancing.
Oh, take a drink, Jenny. It'll steady you.
Oh, you lock him out! Don't let him come in again. Oh, I half guessed. I might have known. With them goggling eyes and bandaged head. And never going to church on Sunday. And all they bottles. More'n it's right for anyone to have. He's put the spirits into the furniture. 'Twas in that very chair my poor dear mother used to sit when I was a little girl. To think it should rise up against me now.
Okay, take a drop more, Jenny. Just a drop more. Your nerves are all upset. I'll go in and ask about it, and I'll demand an explanation.
Go to the devil and shut that door after you!
The stranger went into the parlour of the Coach and Horses about 5:30 in the morning, and there he remained until near midday, the blinds down, the door shut, and none, after Hall's repulse, venturing near him.
Damnable! Mrs. Hall! Mrs. Hall! Mrs. Hall, damn it!
Him and his go to the devil, indeed.
No one has been suspected to this day.
Been a few weeks, hadn't it?
Yes, but the burglar at the figures remains a ghost.
Oh, hey, don't be so trift with words around the missus. She's on the nerve's edge, trust me.
This thing cannot stand in the village. We don't get on this, then more of these invasions will be happening.
All right. I'll gather the lads in a meeting here at the inn, and we'll get a band together and strike a strategy for capturing this criminal. Let's go.
Mrs. Hall!
Mrs. Hall, man upstairs calling you.
Mrs. Hall!
Is it your bill you're wanting, sir?
Why wasn't my breakfast laid? Why haven't you prepared my meals and answered my bell? Do you think I live without eating?
Why isn't my bill paid? That's what I want to know.
I told you 3 days ago I was awaiting a remittance.
I told you 2 days ago I wasn't going to await no remittances. You can't grumble if your breakfast waits a bit. If my bill's been waiting these 5 days, can ya?
Damn it all, of all the bloodiest, damnable, confounded...
Steady on, mate.
And I'd thank you kindly, sir, if you'd keep your swearing to yourself, sir.
Got the better of him now, eh?
Look here, my good woman.
Oh, don't good woman me.
I've told you my remittance hasn't come.
Remittance indeed.
Still, I dare say in my pocket...
You told me 2 days ago that you hadn't anything but a sovereign's worth of silver upon you.
Well, I found some more.
Hello.
Well, I wonder where you found it.
What do you mean?
That I wonder where you found it. And before I take any bills or get any breakfasts or do any such things whatsoever, you got to tell me 1 or 2 things I don't understand, and what nobody don't understand, and what everybody is anxious to understand. I want to know what you've been doing to my chairs upstairs. And I want to know 'tis in the room was empty and how you got in again. Them that stops in this house comes in by the doors. That's the rule of the house, and that you didn't do. And what I want to know is how you did come in. And I know that these...
Stop! You don't understand who I am, and you don't understand what I am. I'll show you. By heaven, I'll show you.
His nose!
Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
By Jove! Oh, God!
Keep off!
Ed, Ed, I got to arrest him, and arrest him I will.
What the devil's this?
You're a damn rum customer, mate.
No, get the knife!
I'll surrender.
My God, it's a body, no head, no bloody hands. What the devilry?
It's no good.
He's not moving.
The waistcoat, it's coming off.
He's disappearing.
Grab him, he's still there.
Hey, what is this? What is he?
I do wish you'd keep your fingers out of my eye.
What?
In fact, I'm all here. Head, hands, legs, and all the rest of it. But as it happens, I'm invisible. A confounded nuisance, but I am. That's no reason why I should be poked to pieces by every stupid bumpkin in Iping, is it?
Invisible, eh?
It's strange, perhaps, but it's not a crime. Why am I assaulted by a policeman in this fashion?
Ah, that's a different matter. No doubt you are a bit difficult to see in this light, but I got a warrant, it's all correct. What I'm after ain't no invisibility, it's burglary. There's a house been broken to and money took.
Well?
And circumstances certainly point.
Stuff and nonsense.
I hope so, sir, but I got me instructions.
Well, fine, I'll come.
It's a regular thing.
But no handcuffs.
Pardon me?
What?
Let me
No
sit.
handcuffs?
His shoes.
His trousers.
Oh, they're coming off.
Stop! Get hold of him!
Hey,
Look
out!
out!
Here he is!
I got something! Hold him! Get him! Get him, don't let him loose! Come on, get him!
You must picture Mr. Thomas Marvel as a person of copious, flexible visage, a nose of cylindrical protrusion, a liquorish, ample, fluctuating mouth, and a beard of bristling eccentricity. His figure inclined to ebon point, his short limbs accentuated this inclination. He wore a furry silk hat, and the frequent substitution of twine and shoelaces for buttons, apparent at critical points of his costume, marked a man essentially bachelor.
They're boots, anyhow.
They are. Charity boots. And which is the ugliest pair in the whole blessed universe? I'm darned if I know. I've worn worse. In fact, I've worn none. But not so audacious ugly. Well, it's just my promiscuous luck. I've gotten the boots in this county 10 years or more. And then they treat you like this.
It's a beast of a county. And picks for people.
Oh, where are you? Oh, am I drunk? Oh, have I had visions? Was I talking to myself? What the?
Don't be alarmed.
Oh, none of your ventriloquizing me. Oh, where are you? Alarmed indeed.
Don't be alarmed.
Oh, you'll be alarmed in a minute. Oh, you silly fool. Where are you? Where are you? Let me get my mark on you. Are you buried? Oh, ain't no time for tomfoolery. Oh, so help me. It's the drink. I might have known.
It's not the drink. Keep your nerves steady.
Ow! It's the drink. 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 Huh? I heard a voice.
Of course you did.
Oh! It's there again.
Don't be a fool. I'm off my bloomin' jump. Oh, it's no good. What is the spirits? Listen. 1 minute.
Well?
You think I'm just imagination? Just imagination?
What else can you be?
Very well, then I'm going to throw flints at you until you think differently.
But where are you? Oh! Ow!
Am I just imagination now? If you struggle anymore, I shall throw the last flint at your head.
It's a fair do. It's a fair do. I don't understand it. Stones flinging themselves. Stones talking. Oh, put yourself down. Right away. Oh, I'm done.
It's very simple. I am an invisible man.
Tell us something I don't know. Where you've hid. How'd you do it? Oh, I don't know. I'm beat.
That's all. I'm invisible. That's what I want you to understand.
Anyone could see that. There's no need for you to be so confounded impatient, mister. Now then, give us a notion. How are you here?
I'm invisible. That's the great point. And what I want you to understand is this.
But whereabouts?
Here, 6 yards in front of you.
Oh, come. I ain't blind. You'll be telling me next you're just thin air. I'm not one of your ignorant tramps.
Yes, I am thin air. You are looking through me.
What? Ain't there any stuff to you? Just a voice. What is it? Is it that?
I am just a human being. Solid, needing food and drink, needing covering too. But I'm invisible. See? Invisible. Simple idea. Invisible.
What? Real like?
Yes, real.
Let's have a hand on you, if you're real. It won't be so darn out of the way then. Oh! Lord, how you made me jump, gripping me like that. I'm dashed. If this don't beat cockfighting, most remarkable. And there I can see a rabbit clean through you, half a mile away. Not a bit of you visible, except you haven't been eating bread and cheese.
You are quite right, and it's not quite assimilated into the system.
Sort of ghostly though.
Of course, this isn't half as wonderful as you think.
Oh, it's quite wonderful enough for my modest wants. How'd you manage it? How the deuce is it done?
It's too long a story. And besides,
I'll tell you, the whole business fair beat me.
What I want to say at present is this. I need help. And I have come to that. I came upon you suddenly. I was wandering, mad with rage, naked, impotent. I could have murdered, and I saw you, and I came up behind you, hesitated, went on, then stopped. Here, I said, is an outcast like myself. This is the man for me. So I turned back and I came to you. You. And?
Oh, Lord! But I'm all in a dizzy. May I ask, how is it? And you may be requiring in the way of help, invisible?
I want you to help me get clothes and shelter, and then with other things. I've left them long enough. If you won't, well, but you will. You must. You have to do the job I've chosen for you. I have chosen you. You are the only man, except for some of the fools down there, who knows there is such a thing as an invisible man. You have to be my helper. Help me, and I will do great things for you. An invisible man is a man of power. But if you betray me, if you fail to do as I direct you...
I don't want to betray you. Don't you go thinking that. Whatever you do, all I want to do is to help you. Just tell me what I got to do. Whatever you want done, I'm most willing to do.
I will remember you said that.
After the first gusty panic had spent itself, Iping became argumentative. Skepticism suddenly reared its head. Rather nervous skepticism, not at all assured of its black, but skepticism nevertheless. It is so much easier not to believe in an invisible man, and those who had actually seen him dissolved into thin air or felt the strength of his arm could be counted on fingers of 2 hands. And of these witnesses, Mr. Wadgers was presently missing, having retired impregnably behind the bolts and bars of his own house, and Jaffers was lying stunned in the parlor of the Coach and Horses. Great and strange ideas transcending experience often have less effect upon men and women than smaller, more tangible considerations.
This was in his room, Mr. Cuss.
Ah, it says diary. Now, at any rate, we shall learn something. Diary. No name on the flyleaf. Bother. Ciphers and figures and dear me, it's all cipher bunting.
There are no diagrams, no illustrations throwing light.
See for yourself. Some of it's mathematical and some of it's Russian or some such language. To judge by the letters, and some of it's Greek. Now the Greek, I thought you...
Of course. Yes, the Greek, of course. They furnish us a clue.
I'll find you a place.
I'd rather glance through the volumes first. A general impression first, Cuss. And then, you know, we can go looking for clues.
Anything on top?
No! Oh. Pints on the other side, my man.
And please shut that door.
A sailor, I should judge.
I dare say so. Oh, my nerves are all loose today. It quite made me jump, the door opening like that.
And now, these books.
One moment. Excuse me, Mrs. Hall, if we may?
Of course.
Now, I think we are safe from interruption.
One thing is indispensable. There certainly have been very strange things happening in Iping during the last few days. Very strange. But I cannot, of course, believe in this absurd invisibility story.
It's incredible. Incredible. But the fact remains that I certainly saw right down his sleeve.
But did you? Are you sure? Suppose a mirror, for instance. Hallucinations are easily produced. I don't know if you've ever seen a really good conjurer.
I won't argue that again. We flashed this out, but just now there's these books. Ah, here's some of what I take to be Greek. Greek letters, certainly.
Don't move, little men, or I'll brain you both. I'm sorry to handle you so roughly, but it's unavoidable. Since when did you learn to pry into an investigator's private memoranda? Since when did you learn to invade the private rooms of a man in misfortune? Where have they put my clothes? Listen, there the windows are fastened, and I've taken the key out of the door. I am a fairly strong man, and I have the poker handy, besides being invisible. There is not the slightest doubt I could kill you both and get away quite easily if I wanted to. Do you understand?
Yes!
Very well. If I promise to let you go, will you promise not to try any nonsense and do what I tell you?
Yes!
Very well then. Please, keep sitting where you are. Here's the poker, you see. When I came into this room, I did not expect to find it occupied. I expected to find, in addition to my books and memoranda, an outfit of clothing. Where is it? No, don't rise. I can see that it's gone. Now, just at present, though the days are certainly warm enough for an invisible man to run about stark, the evenings are chilly. I want clothing and other accommodations, and I must also have those 3 books.
Hello? Hello? That ain't right.
Something's wrong. You all right, sir? No, you don't.
What the deuce?
You all right, sir?
Quite right, but please don't interrupt.
Odd.
Says don't interrupt.
I can't tell you, sir. I will not.
What was that?
Disgraceful!
Who's that speaking now?
Mr. Cuss, I suppose.
What you listening there for, Hall? Ain't you got nothing better to do, busy day like this?
Oh, is that a window?
What window?
The parlour window.
Stop! Thief!
Get him! He's got my trousers and every stitch of the vicar's clothes!
Who?
The sailor! He dropped them down to him from the window! What?
Who did?
The invisible man! We'd better clear out from here! He's fighting mad! Mad! Ah! Oh, what's doing that? It's him! Invisible man!
I will kill you!
I didn't try to give you the slip. I swear I didn't. I didn't know the blessed turning. I didn't know about it. That was all. How the devil was I supposed to know about the blessed turning? Oh, as it is, I've been knocked about.
You'll get knocked about a great deal more if you don't mind.
Oh.
It's bad enough to let these floundering yokels explode my little secret without your cutting off with my books. It's lucky for some of them they cut and ran when they did. Here am I. No one knew I was invisible. And now what am I to do?
Oh, what am I to do?
It's all about. I will be in the papers. Everybody will be looking for me. Everyone on their guard. Bastards. You have something to say? Go on. Don't drop those books, stupid. The fact is, I shall have to make use of you. You're a poor tool, but I must.
I'm a miserable tool.
Yes, you are.
I'm the worst possible tool you can have! I'm not strong. I'm not overly strong.
Oh, no?
My heart's weak. The little business. I pulled through it, of course. But bless you, I could have dropped.
Well?
I haven't the nerve and the strength for the sort of thing you want.
I'll stimulate you.
Oh! No. I wish you wouldn't. I wouldn't like to mess up your plans, you know, but I might out of sheer fucking misery.
You'd better not.
I wish I was dead. It ain't justice, you must admit. It seems to me I've a perfect right.
Get on!
It's devilish hard. What do I make by it?
Oh, shut up! I'll see to you, all right? You'll do what you're told, and you'll do it all right. You're a fool and all that, but you'll do.
I tell you, sir, I'm not the man for it. Respectfully. But it is so...
If you don't shut up, I shall twist your wrist again. I want to think. I shall keep my hand on your shoulder. All through the village. Go straight through and try no foolery. It will be worse for you if you do.
I know that. I know that.
Pleasant day.
Very.
Just reasonable weather for this time of year.
Quite.
Books.
Oh, yes. Yes, they're books.
There's some extraordinary things in books.
I believe you.
And some extraordinary things out of them.
True. Likewise?
There's some extraordinary things in newspapers, for example.
There are.
In this newspaper.
Ah.
There's a story. There's a story about an invisible man, for instance.
Oh, what would they be writing next? Austria or America?
Neither. Here.
Lord!
And when I say here, I mean hereabouts.
An invisible man? And what's he been up to?
Everything. Every blessed thing.
Huh. I ain't seen a paper in 4 days.
Iping's the place he started at.
Ah, indeed.
He started there. And where he came from, nobody don't seem to know. Here it is. Peculiar story from Iping. And it says in this paper that the evidence is extraordinarily strong. Extraordinary.
Lord!
But then it's an extraordinary story. There's a clergyman and a medical gent witnesses saw him all right and proper. Or leastways, did see him. He was staying, it says, at the Coach and Horses, and no one don't seem to have been aware of his misfortune. It says, aware of his misfortune. Until in an altercation at the end, it says his bandages on his head were torn off. It was then observed that his head was invisible. Attempts were at once made to secure him, but casting off his garments, it says he succeeded in escaping. But not until after a desperate struggle in which he had inflicted serious injuries, it says, on our worthy and able constable, Mr. J.A. Jarvis. Pretty straight story, eh? Names and everything.
Lord! It sounds most astonishing.
Don't it? Extraordinary, I call it. Never heard tell of invisible man before, I haven't. Nowadays one hears such a lot of extraordinary things that...
That all he did?
It's enough, ain't it?
Didn't go back by any chance? Just escaped and that's all, eh?
All? Why, ain't it enough?
Quite enough.
Oh, I should think it was enough. I should think it was enough.
Oh, he didn't have any pals. It don't say he had any pals, does it?
Ain't one of the sort enough for you? No, heck heavens, as one might say, he didn't. Makes me regular uncomfortable, the bare thought of that chap running about the country. He is at present at large, and from certain evidence it's supposed that he has took, I suppose they mean, the road to Port Stowe. You see, we're right in it. None of your American wonders this time. And just think of the things he might do. Where you'd be if he took a drop over and above and had a fancy to go for you. Suppose he wants to rob. Who could prevent him? Well, he could trespass. He could burgle. He could walk through a cordon of policemen as easy as me or you can give the slip to a blind man. Easier. Well, these here blind chaps here uncommon sharp, I'm told. And wherever there was liquor, he fancied.
Oh, he's got tremendous advantage, certainly. Well...
You're right. He has.
Oh, the fact of it is, I happen to know just a thing or two about this invisible man from private sources.
Oh?
Yes.
You? Oh, indeed, may I ask?
Oh, you'll be astonished. It's tremendous.
Indeed.
The fact is, ow! Ow!
What's
Ow! Toothache. I must be getting on, I think.
But you was just going to tell me about this here invisible man.
Hoax.
It's a hoax.
But it's in the paper.
A hoax all the same. I know the chap that started the lie. There ain't no invisible man whatsoever. Blimey.
But how about this paper? Do you mean to say...
Not a word of it.
What a bit... Do you mean to say...
I do.
Then why did you let me go on and tell you all this blasted stuff then? What do you mean by letting a man make a fool of himself like that for, eh? I've been talking here these 10 minutes and you little pot-bellied, leather-faced son of an old boot couldn't have the elementary manners.
Don't you come bandying words with me.
Bandying words? Why, but surely good mind.
Get up.
You better move on.
Who's moving on?
Silly devil, I'll show you, you silly ass hoaxing me. It's here in the paper.
In the early evening time, Dr. Kemp was sitting in his study in his belvedere on the hill, overlooking Burdock. It was a pleasant little room, with 3 windows, north, west, and south, and bookshelves crowded with books and scientific publications, and a broad writing table. And, under the north window, a microscope, glass slips, minute instruments, some cultures, and scattered bottles of reagents. Dr. Kemp's solar lamp was lit, albeit the sky was still bright with the sunset light, and his blinds were up because there was no offense appearing outsiders to require them pulled down. Dr. Kemp was a tall and slender man, with flaxen hair and a mustache almost white, and the work he was upon would earn him, he hoped, the fellowship of the Royal Society, so highly did he think of it. And his eye, pleasantly wandering from his work, caught the sunset blazing at the back of a hill that is over against his own. For a minute, perhaps he sat, pen in mouth, admiring the rich golden color above the crest, and then his attention was attracted by a little figure of a man, inky black, running over the hill towards him. He was a shortish little man.
He's coming!
And he wore a high hat.
He's coming!
And he was running so fast that his legs verily twinkled.
Help! The invisible man is coming! The invisible man!
What's he on about?
Fire, perhaps?
Coming! He's coming! The invisible man after me! Oh, for God's sakes! Help! 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 Let me go inside! Let me go inside!
Take it easy.
Watch yourself.
Who's coming? What's the row?
Lock me inside! Lock me inside! Somewhere! I tell ya! He's after me! I give him the slip. He said he'd kill me, and he will!
You're safe. Door shut. Now, what's this all about?
Who's there?
Ah!
Shut up, will ya?
He'll kill me! He's got a knife or something!
Good Lord, there's the back.
What's them doors, I say?
I've got a revolver here.
I won't do that's murder.
I'm going to go off his legs. Let him in.
No!
He'll kill me!
Who?
For God's sakes! The invisible man!
A knife!
I've got a revolver.
Hey, what's wrong, that thing?
Irene!
Put it down. Hold him.
God help me!
Hold him.
Get him
that someone had come and find him out for his body.
And now a word from our sponsor. And now we return to H.G.WELLS The Invisible Man. It was 2:00 before Dr. Kemp had finished his work for the night. He rose, yawned, and went downstairs to bed. He had already removed his coat and vest when he noticed that he was thirsty. He took a candle and went down to the dining room in search of a siphon and whiskey. Dr. Kemp's scientific pursuits had made him a very observant man, and as he recrossed to the hall, he noticed a dark spot on the linoleum near the mat at the foot of the stairs. He went on upstairs, and then it suddenly occurred to him to ask himself what the spot on the linoleum might be. Apparently, some subconscious element was at work. At any rate, he turned with his burden, went back to the hall, put down the siphon and whiskey. Bending down, touched the spot. Without any great surprise, he found it had the stickiness and color of drying blood. He took up his burden again and returned upstairs. On the landing, he saw something and stopped, astonished. The door handle of his own room was blood-stained. He looked at his own hand. It was quite clean, and then he remembered that the door of his room had been open when he came down from his study, and then consequently, he had not touched the handle at all.
Good heavens. Kemp? Kemp! Keep your nerve. I am the Invisible Man.
Invisible man?
Well, I'm an invisible man.
The papers. I thought it was all a lie. It was a lie. Have you a bandage on?
Yes.
Oh! I say, this is nonsense. Some trick.
I'm extending my hand to you, Kemp.
Oh!
Keep steady, Kemp, keep steady. For God's sake, I want help so badly. Stop! Kemp! Kemp, keep steady!
My arm!
There, I've let go.
No!
Listen to reason, will you? By heaven! You'll madden me in a minute! Lie still, you fool! If you shout, I'll smash your face. I'm an invisible man. It's no foolishness and no magic. I really am an invisible man. And I want your help. I don't want to hurt you. But if you behave like a frantic rustic, I must. Don't you remember me, Kemp? Griffin of University College.
Let me get up. I'll stop where I am and I'll sit quiet for a moment.
I'm Griffin of University College, and I have made myself invisible. I am just an ordinary man, a man you have known, made invisible.
Griffin?
Griffin, a younger student than you were. I won the medal for chemistry.
I'm confused. My brain is rioting. What has this to do with Griffin?
I am a Griffin.
It's horrible. But what devilry must happen to make a man invisible?
It's no devilry. It's a process. Sane and intelligible enough.
It's horrible.
It's horrible enough, yes. But I am wounded and in pain and tired. Great God, Kemp, you are a man. Take it steady. Give me some food and drink and let me sit down here.
The chair. That bandage. It's moving all about my room. Oh, this beats ghosts.
That's better. Thank heaven you're getting sensible.
Oh, silly.
Give me some whiskey. I'm near dead.
Where are you? If I should get up, shall I run into you? There. All right. Whiskey. Here. Where shall I give it to you? Oh, the glass. Right out of my hand. Oh, this must be hypnotism. You must have suggested you're invisible.
Nonsense.
I mean, it's frantic.
Listen to me.
I've demonstrated conclusively this morning that invisibility...
Never mind what you've demonstrated. I'm starving and the night is chilly to a man without clothes.
Food?
Yes. Have you a dressing gown?
Will this do?
Drawers, socks, slippers would be a comfort. And food.
Anything. I suppose that wrist is all right.
Trust me.
All the strange and wonderful.
Exactly. But it is odd I should blunder into your house to get my bandaging. My first stroke of luck. Anyhow, I meant to sleep in this house tonight. You must stand that. It's a filthy nuisance, my blood showing, isn't it? Quite a clot over there. Gets visible as it coagulates, I see. I've been in the house 3 hours.
But how is it done? Confound it, this whole business, it's unreasonable from beginning to end.
It's quite reasonable. Perfectly reasonable. There.
Then what were the shots? I mean, how did the shooting begin?
There was a fool of a man. A sort of confederate of mine. Curse him, who tried to steal my money. Has done so.
Is he invisible too?
No.
Well,
can't I have some more to eat before I tell you all that? I'm hungry and in pain, and you want me to tell stories.
You didn't do any shooting.
Not me. Some fool I'd never seen fired at random. A lot of them got scared. They all got scared at me. Curse them! I say, I want to eat more than this, Kemp.
Well, there is more to eat downstairs. Not much, I'm afraid.
After he had done the eating, and he made a heavy meal, the invisible man demanded a cigar. He bit the end savagely before Kemp could find a knife and cursed when the outer leaf loosened.
Bloody hell.
It was strange to see him smoking. His mouth and throat, pharynx and nares became visible as a sort of whirling smoke cast.
Ah, this blessed gift of smoking. I'm lucky to have fallen upon you, Kemp. You must help me. I'm in a devilish scrape. The things I have been through. Ah, but we will do things yet, let me tell you. It's wild, but I suppose I may drink. Cheers!
Cheers?
You haven't changed much, Kemp, these dozen years. You fair men don't. Cool and methodical after the first collapse. I must tell you, we will work together.
But how is it all done?
For God's sake, let me smoke in peace a little while, and then I will begin to tell you. He was afraid of me. I could see he was afraid of me. He meant to give me the slip. He was always cast about. What a fool I was.
The cur.
I should have killed him.
Where did you get the money? What's the wound?
Nothing. Scratch and blood. Oh, God, how I want to sleep.
Why don't you?
Because I have a particular objection to being caught by my fellow men. Fool that I am. I've put the idea into your head, haven't I? I'm sorry that I cannot tell you all that I have done tonight, but I am worn out. It's grotesque, no doubt. It's horrible. But believe me, Kemp, it's quite a possible thing. I have made a discovery, and I meant to keep it to myself, but I can't. I must have a partner, and you... We can do such things. But tomorrow. Now, Kemp, I feel as though I must sleep or perish. Only bid me good night.
Good night.
Understand me, no attempts to hamper me or capture me or...
I thought I gave you my word.
Eventually, rest came to the invisible man. Kemp heard the heavy breathing and witnessed the gentle rising and falling of the bandage. Morning again. Griffin and Kemp, two scientists, sat, while Griffin conveyed his story to the old doctor.
That from a doctor. How one forgets. Have you already forgotten your physics in 10 years? Just think of all the things that are transparent and seem not to be so. Paper, for instance, is made up of transparent fibers. and yet it is white and opaque. Oil-white paper fill up the interstices between particles with oil, so that there is no longer refraction or reflection except at the surfaces, and it becomes as transparent as glass. Not only paper, but cotton fiber, linen fiber, wool fiber, woody fiber, and bone Kemp, flesh Kemp, hair Kemp, nails and nerves Kemp. In fact, the whole fabric of a man, except for the red of his blood and the black pigment of his hair, are all made up of transparent, colorless tissue. So little suffices to make us visible from one to the other. For the most part, the fibers of a living creature are no more opaque than water.
Great heavens, of course. Of course! I was thinking only last night of sea larvae and all jellyfish.
Now you have me. And all that I knew I had in mind for a year after I left London, 6 years ago. But I kept to myself. I had to do my work under frightful disadvantages. You know the knavish system of the scientific world. I simply would not publish and let him share my credit. I went on working, and I got nearer and nearer to making my formula into an experiment, a reality. I told no living soul because I meant to flash my work upon the world with crushing effect, to become famous at a blow. I took up the question of pigments to fill up certain gaps. And suddenly, not by design but by accident, I made a discovery in physiology.
Yes?
You know the red coloring matter of blood. It can be made white, colorless, and remain with all the functions it has now.
What?
I remember that night. In all my great moments, I have been alone. One could make an animal, a tissue, transparent. One could make it invisible. All except the pigments. I could be invisible, I said. It was overwhelming. I left the filtering I was doing and went and stared out the great window at the stars. I could be invisible, I repeated. To do such a thing would be to transcend magic. And I beheld, unclouded by doubt, a magnificent vision of all that invisibility might mean to a man. The mystery, the freedom, the power. Drawbacks I saw none. You have only to think, and I, a shabby, poverty-struck, hemmed-in demonstrator, teaching fools in a provincial college, might suddenly become this. I ask, Kemp, if you, if anyone, I tell you, would have flung himself upon that research. And I worked 3 years, and every mountain of difficulty I toiled over showed another from its summit. The infinite details, and the exasperation. A professor, provincial professor, always prying. When are you going to publish this work of yours? Was his everlasting question. And the students and the cramped means, 3 years I had of it. And after 3 years of secrecy and exasperation, I found that to complete it was impossible. Impossible.
But how?
Money. I robbed the old man, robbed my father. The money was not his, and he had shot himself. I left Chesilstowe College already. Last December, I had taken a room in London, large, unfurnished room in a slum near Great Portland Street. The work was going on steadily, successfully drawing near an end. I went to bury my father, to save his character. I did not feel a bit sorry for my father. He seemed to me to be the victim of his own childish sentimentality. My first experiment was with a white wool fabric. It was the strangest thing in the world to see it in the flicker of flashes of softened white, and then to watch it fade like a wreath of smoke and vanish. I could scarcely believe I had done it. I put my hand into the emptiness, and there was the thing, as solid as ever. I felt it awkwardly and threw it on the little floor, and had little trouble finding it again. And then came a curious experience. I heard a meow behind me, and turning, I saw a lean white cat, very dirty, on the cistern cover outside the window. A thought came into my head. Everything ready for you, I said, and went to the window, opened it, and called softly. She came in, purring. The poor beast was starving, and so I gave her some milk. After she went smelling around the room, evidently with the idea of making herself at home, the invisible rag upset her a bit. You should have seen her hiss at it. But I made her comfortable on the pillow of my truckle bed and gave her butter to get her to wash.
And you processed her?
Failed.
Failed?
In two particulars. These were the claws and the pigment stuff. What is it at the back of the eye in a cat? You know?
A tapetum.
Yes, the tapetum. It didn't go. After I'd given the stuff the bleach to the blood and done certain other things to her, I gave the beast opium and put her and the pillow she was sleeping on the apparatus. And after all the rest had faded and vanished, there remained the two little ghosts of her eyes.
Odd.
I can't explain it. I had her safe, but she woke when she was still misty, and she meowed dismally. And someone came knocking, a woman from downstairs, who suspected me of vivisecting. A drunk, sodden old creature, with only a white cat to care for in all the world. I whipped out some chloroform and applied it and answered the door. "Did I hear a cat?" she asked. "My cat?" "Not here," said I, very politely. She was a little doubtful and tried to peer past me into the room, strange enough to her, no doubt. Bare walls, uncurtained windows, truckle bed. And with the gas engine vibrating and the seethe of the radiant points, and that faint, ghastly stinking of chloroform into the air, she had to be satisfied at last and went away again.
How long did it take?
3 or 4 hours, the cat. The bones and sinews and the fat were the last to go, with the tips and the colored hairs. And as I saw, the back part of the eye, tough iridescent stuff it is, wouldn't go at all. It was night outside long before the process was over, and nothing was to be seen but the dim eyes and the claws. I stopped the gas engine, felt for and stroked the beast, which was still insensible, released its fastening, and me, being tired, left it sleeping on the invisible pillow, and I went to bed. I found it hard to sleep. I lay awake, thinking, dreaming feverishly of things growing misty and vanishing about me, until everything, the ground I stood on, vanished. And so I came to that sickly, falling nightmare one gets. At about 2, the cat began meowing about the room. I tried to hush it by talking to it, and then I decided to turn it out.
You don't mean to say there's an invisible cat at large?
If it hasn't been killed, why not? It was alive 4 days after, down in a grating in Great Titchfield Street. I saw a crowd round the place trying to see whence the meowing came. My prize was within my grasp. My money was almost exhausted. All I could think of clearly was that the thing had to be carried through. That fixed idea still ruled me. I slept that night. Then there was a rapping at my door. The old woman's tongue had been busy. They accused me of all manner of illicit matter. The fools. The landlord demanded rent on top of it all, and suddenly my temper gave way. I had told him to get out. He protested. Soon I had him by the collar, and something ripped, and he went spinning out into his own passage. I slammed and locked the door and sat down, quivering. I did not know what we would do, what we would have the power to do. To move apartments meant delay. Vanish. It was irresistible. Then there would be inquiry, the sacking of my room, all my work exposed, interrupted at its very climax. I hurried out with my 3 books of notes and my checkbook. The tramp has them now. And directed them to the nearest post office to a house call for letters in parcels in Great Portland Street. It was all done that evening and night, my change into invisibility. Oh, it was horrible that first night. I had not expected the suffering, a night of racking anguish. I now know why that cat howled so. I set my teeth, though my skin was presently afire, but I lay there like grim death. There were times when I sobbed and groaned and talked, but I stuck to it. I became insensible and woke languid in the darkness. The next day I slipped up again to my old apartment with a box of matches, fired up the heap of paper and rubbish, put the chairs and bedding thereby, led the gas to the affair, and by means of an India rubber tube and a waving farewell to the room, left it for the last time.
You fired the house?
I fired the house. It was the only way to cover my trail. I was now invisible, and I was only just beginning to realize the extraordinary advantages my invisibility gave me. I experienced wild impulses to jest, to startle people, clap men on the back, fling people's hats astray. What extraordinary advantage, but hardly had I emerged upon Great Portland Street when I heard a crashing concussion and was hit violently behind. And turning, saw a man carrying a basket of soda water siphons. The blow had really hurt me. I found something so irresistible and astonishing that I laughed out loud. "The devil's in the basket," I said. And suddenly I twisted it out of his hand, and he let go incontinently. He let the whole thing down with a smash, and then, with shouts and the clatter, people came coming out of shops, vehicles pulling up, and I realized what I had done for myself, and cursing my folly, backed up against a shop window and prepared to dodge out of the confusion. In a moment, I should be wedged into a crowd and inevitable discovered, so I pushed past the butcher boy, who luckily did not turn to see the nothingness that shoved him aside, and dodged behind a cabman's four-wheeler. I do not know how they settled the business. I hurried straight across the road, which was happily clear, and hardly heeding which way I went and the frightful detection of the incident had given me, plunged into the afternoon throng of Oxford Street. It was a bright day in January, and I was stark naked. Foolish it seems to me now, I had not reckoned that, transparent or not, I was still amenable to the weather and all its consequences. Shivering, scared, sniffing with cold, bruised. Then I heard, "Feet! Look! Feet running!" Everybody in the road poured out to pursue me. Twice I doubled round corners, thrice I crossed the road and came back to my tracks. The running had warmed me to a certain extent, and I went on with better courage through the maze of less frequented road that runs thereabouts. Once or twice accidental collisions occurred, and I left people amazed with unaccountable curses ringing in their ears. Every dog that came in sight with its pointing nose was a terror to me. I had never realized it before, but the nose is to the mind of a dog what the eye is to a seeing man. And then I had caught cold. Men and boys came running. They ran in the direction of my lodging, and looking down a street, I saw a mass of black smoke streaming up above the roofs and telephone wires. It was my lodging burning, my clothes, my apparatus, all of my resources indeed. All except for my checkbook and the 3 volumes of memoranda.
Go on.
But you begin to realize now the disadvantage of my condition. I had no shelter, no covering. To get clothing was to forego all my advantage, to make myself a strange and terrible thing. I was fasting, for to eat, to fill myself with unassimilated matter, would be to become grotesquely visible again.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Nor had I. I could not go abroad in snowfall. It would settle on me, expose me. Rain, too, would make me a watery outline, a glistening surface of a man, a bubble. And fog. I should be like a fainter bubble in a fog, a surface, a greasy glimmer of humanity. In London, I gathered dirt upon my ankles, floating smuts of dust on my skin. Then I saw one of those little miscellaneous shops. News, sweets, toys, stationery, belated Christmas tomfoolery, and so forth. And an array of masks and noses. I realized the problem with what to do with my face was solved. I found I had caught a fresh cold and had to turn out after a time, lest my sneezes attract attention. At last I reached the object of my quest. A dirty, fly-blown little shop in a byway near Drury Lane, with a window full of tinsel robes, sham jewels, wigs, slippers, dominoes, and theatrical photographs. The opening of the door left a clanging bell ringing. I left it open, and walked round the bare costume stand in a corner behind the cheval glass. For a minute or so, no one came. Then I heard a heavy feet striding across the room, and a man appeared down the shop. The man who had entered the shop was a short, slightly hunched, beetle-browed man, with long arms and very short bandy legs. I could not get out of the room while he was there. I could scarcely move because of his alertness. Every noise of my movement stopped him dead. I waited in the little parlor for an age, and at last he came up and opened the upstairs door. I just managed to get by him. On the staircase he stopped suddenly, so that I very nearly blundered into him. He stood looking back right into my face and listening. "I could have sworn," he said. His long, hairy hand pulled at his lower lip. A moment later, he called a little. "Rats," he said in an undertone, fingers on his lips. He was evidently a little scared. I edged quietly around the room, but a plank creaked. And then the infernal little brute started going all over the house, revolver in hand, locking door after door after door and pocketing the keys. When I realized what he was up to, I had a fit of rage. I could barely control myself sufficiently to watch my opportunity. By this time, I knew he was alone in the house, and so I made no more ado, but knocked him on the head.
You knocked him on the head?
Yes, stunned him as he was going downstairs. Hit him from behind with a stool that stood on the landing, and he went downstairs like a bag of old boots.
But I say, the common conventions of humanity
are all very well for common people. But the point was, Kemp, I had to get out of that house in a disguise without him seeing me. And I couldn't think of any other way of doing it. And then I gagged him with a Louis Cartort's vest and tied him up in a sheet.
Tied him up in a sheet?
My dear Kemp, it's no good your sitting and glaring as though I was a murderer. It had to be done. He had his revolver. If once he saw me, he would be able to describe me.
But still, the man was in his own house, and you were, well, robbing.
Robbing? Confound it, she'll call me a thief next. Surely you're not foolish enough to dance on old strings. Can't you see my position?
And his, too.
What do you mean to say?
I suppose, after all, the thing had to be done. You were in a fix, but still...
Of course I was in a fix. I was in an infernal fix.
What did you do next?
Well, I had the thought of painting or powdering my face in order to render myself visible, but I would require turpentine and other such appliances and a considerable amount of time before I could vanish again. Finally, I chose a mask of the better type. Slightly grotesque, dark glasses, grayish whiskers, and a wig. In a desk in the shop were 3 sovereigns and about 30 shillings worth of silver. In a locked cupboard I burst in the inner room were 8 pounds in gold, so I could go forth into the world again, equipped. I swathed myself in calico dominoes and some white cashmere scarves. The hunchback's boots were a rather loose fit, but they sufficed.
And you went into Iping?
Yes, I went there to work. The more I thought it over, Kemp, the more I realized what a helpless absurdity an invisible man was. In a cold and dirty climate and a crowded civilized city. Before I made this mad experiment, I had dreamt of 1,000 advantages. No doubt invisibility made it possible to get what one desires, but it made them impossible to enjoy once they were got. Ambition. What is the good of a pride of place when you cannot appear there? What is the good of the love of a woman when her name must needs be Delilah? I have no taste for politics, nor fame, nor philanthropy, nor sport. What was I to do? And for all this, I became a wrapped-up mystery, a swathed and bandaged caricature of a man. I went there to work. It was a half idea. I have it still. It is a full-blown idea now. A way of getting back, of restoring what I have done, when I choose. When I have done all that I mean to do by invisibility. And that is chiefly what I want to talk to you about.
What are we to do?
The filthy tramp has hidden my books, Kemp. Hidden my books. If I can lay my hands on him.
Best plan to get the books out of him first.
But where is he? Do you know?
Okay, he's in the town police station, locked up by his own request, in the strongest cell in the place.
Cur!
But that hangs up your plans a little.
We must get those books. Those books are vital.
Well, certainly, we must get those books. But that won't be difficult if he doesn't know they're for you.
No. Blundering into your house, Kemp, changes all my plans. For you are a man that can understand. In spite of all that has happened, in spite of this publicity, and the loss of my books, and what I have suffered, there still remains great possibilities. Huge possibilities. You have told no one I am here?
That was implied.
No one?
Not a soul.
Now. I have wasted strength, time, and opportunities. Alone. Little a man can do alone. Rob a little, hurt a little, and there is the end. What I want, Kemp, is a goalkeeper, a helper, and a hiding place. With a Confederate, with you, all things are possible. We have to consider all that invisibility means and does not mean. It means little advantage for eavesdropping, housebreaking. One makes sounds. Once you've caught me, you can easily imprison me. But, on the other hand, I am hard to catch. This invisibility, in fact, is good in two cases, getting away and escaping. It's particularly useful, therefore, in killing. And killing is what we must do, Kemp.
Why killing?
Not wanton killing, but a judicious slaying. The point is, they know there's an invisible man as well as you and I know there's an invisible man. And that invisible man, Kemp, must now establish a reign of terror. We must take some town like your Burdock and terrify and dominate it. He must issue his orders. He can do that in 1,000 ways. Scraps of paper thrust under doors would suffice. And all who disobey his orders he must kill, and he must kill all who defend the disobedient.
You put your Confederate in a difficult position.
No one would know he was a Confederate. Hush. What's that downstairs?
Nothing. I don't agree to this, Griffin. Understand me, I don't agree to this. Why dream of playing a game against the race? I mean, how can you hope to gain happiness? Don't be a lone wolf. Publish your results. Take the world, take the nation at least, into your confidence. Think what you might do with 1,000,000 helpers.
There are footsteps coming upstairs.
Nonsense.
Let me see. Traitor!
This way!
You took some advantages while I was asleep, did you? Let the cops know an invisible man was your guest? Oh, yes. One other thing. You left your key, Kemp!
My God, I don't believe my eyes. What's up?
There! Oh, my God! The game's up! It's gone! He's mad, inhuman, he is pure selfishness. I've heard his story this morning of such brutal self-seeking. He's harmed and wounded men. He will kill unless we can prevent him. He will create a panic. Nothing can stop him. He is out there now, furious.
He must be caught. That is certain.
Well, you must begin at once. You must set every available man to work. He cannot leave this district. Once he gets away, he may go through the countryside as he wills, killing and maiming. He dreams of a reign of terror. A reign of terror, I tell you. Set watch on trains and roads, shipping. You must. Wire for help. Call forth the garrison. The only thing that might keep him here is the thought of recovering some books of notes he values. There's a man in your police station, Marvel?
Yes, Thomas Marvel. I know those books.
Well,
yes.
The whole countryside must begin hunting and give him no advantage for food or sleep. Oh, heaven send us cold nights of rain. I tell you, Andy, he's a danger, a disaster. Unless he is caught, it is frightful to think of the things that may happen.
What else can we do? I must go down and organize at once. You come too. We must hold sort of a war council. Get Hobbs to help. And the railway managers. By Jove, this is urgent. Tell me what needs to be done.
The dogs don't see him, but they catch his scent. After eating, his food shows until it is assimilated.
No doubt. You'll hide after eating.
Powdered glass. I know it's cruel to think, but just think of what he may do. He is no longer a man.
A man, a modest farmer, living all alone, sits at his table, dining on a meager meal. To assuage the loneliness, Mr. Wickseed often reads aloud.
And I have by me for my comfort 2 strange white flowers, shriveled now, and brown and flat and brittle, to witness that even when mind and strength have gone, gratitude and a mutual tenderness still lived on in the heart of men. Hello? What the? Oh! 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 Oh!
One might imagine that he had taken the rod as a weapon indeed, but without any deliberate intention of using it for murder. Wickseed may then have noticed this rod inexplicably moving through the air without any thought of the invisible man, for Port Burdock is nearly 10 miles away. After the murder of Mr. Wickseed, he would seem to have struck across country towards the downland. There is a story of a voice heard about sunset by a couple of men in a field near Fernbottom. It was wailing and laughing, sobbing and groaning, and ever again it shouted. It must have been strange to hear it across the middle of the clover field and away towards the hills. That, after the invisible man must have learned something of the rapid use Kemp had made of his confidences. He found houses locked and secured. In railway stations and prowling about inns, he read the proclamations and realized that there was something in the nature of the campaign against him.
Be sure to check around the thickets. There's a staff. Swing on the back. Keep tight.
Mr. Kemp?
Yes.
This letter just arrived.
Oh, thank you. Winifred, you may carry on.
Certainly, sir.
Amazingly energetic, clever. Oh my God, the terror, evil, death. Oh, it's no hoax. That's his voice. The postmark, Hinterdine, 2D to pay. It came by the 1 o'clock post. Oh, we will have him. I will be the bait. Powdered glass. Oh, if he's not here already, he will come. Winifred!
Sir?
You must leave the Belvedere. You are in no danger, but go.
I haven't finished up with your lunch, sir.
Go! Straight to the police station. Bring this note to Colonel Addy.
Why, sir?
Get going, Winifred. Have you heard anyone else here this morning since I've left?
I don't think so, sir.
It's a game. An odd game. But the chances are all for me, Mr. Griffin, in spite of your invisibility. Griffin contra mundum with a vengeance. He must get food every day, and I don't envy him. Did he really sleep last night? Where did he lay his head? What piece did he find? He may be watching me now. I'm getting nervous. Oh, it must have been a sparrow. Oh!
It's Addy, Kemp.
Oh, you gave me such a start. You don't understand every noise, every sound. I'll go mad.
Your servant's been assaulted, Kemp. Close the door and lock it.
What?
He had that note of yours taken away from her.
Is she?
She's close about here. No, snaps quite out of her hand. Scared her horribly. She's down at the station. Hysterics. He's close here. What was it about?
Damn. What a fool I was. I might have known. It's not an hour's walk from Hinterdine already.
What's up?
Look here.
You have been amazingly energetic and clever. Though what you stand to gain by it, I cannot imagine. You are against me. For a whole day you have chased me. You have tried to rob me of night's rest. But I have had food in spite of you. I have slept in spite of you, and the game is only beginning. The game is only beginning. There was nothing for it but to start the terror. This announces the first day of the terror. Port Burdock is no longer under the Queen. Tell your colonel of police and the rest of them it is under me, the terror. This is day 1 of year 1 of the new epoch, the epoch of the Invisible Man. I am Invisible Man the First. To begin with, the rule will be easy. There will be one execution for the sake of example. A man named Kemp. Death starts for him today. He may lock himself away, hide himself away, get guards about him, put on armor if he likes. Death, the unseen death, is coming. Let him take precautions. It will impress my people. Death starts from the pillar box by midday. The letter will fall in as the postman comes along, then off. The game begins. Death starts. Help him not, my people, lest death fall upon you also. Today, Kemp is to die.
And you?
Proposed a trap like a fool and sent my proposal out to my maidservant. To him, damn it.
Oh, he'll clear out.
Not he. It's a window. Upstairs.
Oh, steady on with that revolver, Kemp. I don't want no lost shots.
To the study. Damn.
3 broken windows? What's this for?
It's a beginning.
There's no way of climbing up here?
Not for a cat.
Who shudders?
Not here. All the downstairs rooms. Hello. Oh, confound him. Wait, that must be... Yes, it's one of the bedrooms. He's going to do the whole house, but he's a fool. The shutters are up, and the glass will fall outside. He'll cut his feet.
Oh, I have it. Let me have a stick or something. I'll go down to the station and get the bloodhounds put on. That ought to settle him. They're not hard 10 minutes. You haven't another revolver?
I haven't one, at least to spare.
I'll bring it back. You'll be safe here. Now for the door.
You must step straight out.
Close it behind me.
Stop a bit.
Well?
Oblige me by going back to the house.
Sorry.
What are you going for?
Where I go is my own business. Damn!
I'd kill you now if it wasn't the waste of a bullet.
Damn it. My gun. Well?
Get up. Attention. Don't try any games. Remember, I can see your face if you can't see mine. Go back to the house.
You won't let me in.
That's a pity. I've got no quarrel with you.
Well, what am I to do? I will try, but if he lets me in, will you promise not to rush the door?
I've got no quarrel with you.
Why doesn't he fire the revolver? I see it shimmering in the sunlight.
Promise not to rush the door. Don't push a winning game too far. Give a man a chance.
Go back to the house. I tell you flatly, I will not promise anything.
All right. I'm going.
He has my revolver. What could I possibly... Oh, the fire poker. An axe! He has an axe!
Policeman, are you all right?
I saw a man in the window.
Who are you?
There's a policeman wanting to know what's happening inside the house.
The Invisible Man. He has a revolver with 2 shots left. He's killed Addy. Shot him. Anyhow, didn't you see him on the lawn? He's lying there.
Who?
Addy!
We came around the back way.
What was that smashing?
He's in the kitchen. Or will be. He's found an axe. This way. The poker, take it.
Axe!
Go for the pistol!
Stand away, you two. I want the man Kemp.
We want you! Yeah!
Where is he?
Dr. Kemp?
There's no one here.
Hey, come here and look at this bloke. He's frantic running down the street.
Someone is chasing him.
No, there's Lord. Look, it's that invisible man, brute. He's right after all. Mary, come in here. Shut the doors, shut the windows, shut everything. The invisible man is coming. you, but you can't come in.
For pity's sake!
Mr. Heeler, staring from the window, a face of horror, had scarcely witnessed Kemp vanish. There, the asparagus was being trampled this way and that by feet unseen. At that, Mr. Heelis fled precipitously upstairs, and the rest of the chase is beyond his purview. But as he passed the staircase window, he heard the side gate slam. Emerging into the hill road, Kemp naturally took the downward direction, and so it was he came to run in his own person the very race he had watched with such a critical eye from the Belvedere study 4 days ago.
The invisible man!
What's going on?
All of you, form a line across the...
Aha!
Oh! Oh! I've got him! Help! Hold on! Hold his down! Hold his feet! Hold his feet! Hold him! That's not his feet! Hold his feet! Where is he? Where's he? Get back, you fools! He's hurt, I tell you! Stand back!
I've got him!
Don't even go with him! He's shamming!
I have meddled with things that you...
Oh, he's not shamming. I'll hold him. Oh, good God, he's not breathing. I can't feel his heart at his side.
Looky there!
His hand.
Hello, it's his feet are showing.
And so, slowly, beginning at his hands and feet and creeping along his limbs to the vital centers of his body, that strange change continued. Like the slow spreading of a poison, first came the white nerves, a hazy grey sketch of a limb, then the glassy bones and intricate arteries, then the flesh and skin. At first, a faint fogginess, and then growing rapidly dense and opaque.
Griffin.
Presently, they could see his crushed chest and his shoulders, and the firm outline of his drawn and battered features. When at last the crowd made way for Kemp to stand erect, there lay, naked and pitiful on the ground, the bruised and broken body of a young man about 30. His hair and beard were white, not grey with age, but white with the whiteness of albinism, and his eyes were like red jewels. His hands were clenched, his eyes wide open, and his expression was one of anger and dismay.
Cover his face! For God's sakes, cover that face!
3 little children, pushing forward through the crowd, were suddenly twisted round and sent packing off again. Someone brought a sheet from the Jolly Cricketers, and having covered him, they carried him into that house. And there, on a shabby bed in a tawdry, ill-lighted bedroom, ended the strange experiment of the invisible man. This ends the story of the strange and evil experiment of the invisible man. And if you would learn more of him, you must go to a little inn near Port Stowe and talk to the landlord. Drink generously, and he will tell you generously of the things that happened to him after that time.
Hex, little too up in the air, cross, fiddle-dee-dee. Lord, what a one he was for intellect. Full of secrets, wonderful secrets. Oh, once I get the whole of him, Lord, I wouldn't do what he did. I just, well...
So he lapses into a dream, the undyingly wonderful dream of his life. And though Kemp has fished ceaselessly, no human being save the landlord knows those books are there, with the subtle secret of invisibility and a dozen other strange secret writings therein. This concludes the ACT Theatre of the Air. You've just heard a performance of The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells, adapted by Matt Fernandez. Our players this evening, Richard Fulton as Wadgers, policeman, and Navy man. Emmaline Eggleston as Millie, Winifred, and Girl. Alec Rogers as Cuss and Barman. Shaylyn Goard as Mrs. Hall and Old Lady. Dustin Goard as Mr. Hall, Colonel Addy, Landlord, Hunter, and Cabman. Jim Haacke as the Mariner, Henfrey, Constable, American, Hunter, and Jagler. Scott Rhode as Kemp. Bryan Ken as Thomas Marvel. Thomas Corn as Ferenside and Blackbeard. Mark Galbraith as Jaffers, Heelis, Bunting, Wickseed, and Copper. Teresa Denney as Mrs. Bunting and Mary. Ian Clark as drunkard, second policeman, and rugby player. And Mitchell Jones II as the stranger, the voice, Griffin, and the invisible man. And I am Emily Klopfer, your host and narrator today. Our Foley designer and director is Jana Lage. Sorry. Our Foley designer and director is Jana Lage. Our Foley artists are Lucy Connor, Scott Rhode, and Ian Clark. Our musical interludes were provided by Jasminka Jaksic on viola. And our sound was provided by Gwyn Eggleston. This was an Anchorage Community Theatre production of
The Invisible Man.
The Invisible Man!
based on the novel by H.G. Wells, adapted for the radio by Matt Fernandez. This production was made possible by the Atwood Foundation, the Block Foundation, the Municipality of Anchorage, the Alaska State Council on the Arts, the Alaska Community Foundation, and the Rasmussen Foundation. Special thanks to Lauren Dixon with 90.3 KNBA. And now a word from our director.
Special thanks to the 49th State Brewing Company for letting us use this space, and for Emily, who made it possible. Thanks again, Emily. And give it up for Eric at the bar. And I want to thank every employee here. So can you just name them off?
We got it.
Okay. Thank you so much, folks. I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. Sign up on for our newsletter, and you'll get to know about further ACT productions. Okay? Thank you.